Hello everyone, Oopsie here. In this video I will show you one Killjoy setup for every site on every single map. I really hope you can find some useful setups that you will use in game to maybe rank up or have some fun, because I've used them myself a lot of times and I think they're really good. Though watch out, they're not that special or something, they're just default setups for like a beginner Killjoy, so don't expect too much. Before I go deeper into the setups themselves, I'd like to briefly explain Killjoy's abilities. Her first ability is a molly with a kind of big radius, which you can throw and activate at any time you want. Though watch out, because enemies can destroy this one. This also has the same projectile as a KO molly and a gecko mosh pit, so if you would like to see me make a video about lineups for those three agents, be sure to comment it down below. You can also right click this one to throw it like at a short range. Your second ability is an alarm bot, which when you place down, when enemies will walk into the circle, the alarm bot will run towards that enemy and make him vulnerable for about 3 seconds. Vulnerable means that you'll deal more damage. This counts for your molly and your next ability, your turret as well. About your turret is a turret which has a 180 degrees radius, and if you right click it, you can turn the way he looks. If you left click it, you'll put him down and he'll shoot 2 bullets which deal 6 damage each and they can't miss. Her last ability is her ult, but this is not really necessary for her setups, but I'll explain anyway. So it's a turret which has the same radius as your walking radius, as you can see on the minimap. And when you place it down, it'll activate after 13 seconds, and everyone that's still in the circle after 13 seconds will get detained, which means they will be slowed and can't shoot with guns anymore. That's all. On Ascent A Site, you should start off by placing your turret on top of this box. This box will see right into garden, but it's also really annoying because when you place a bot like there or there, enemies will immediately just shoot it and your turret is gone. But this makes it harder because when they're on site, they're probably not gonna waste time shooting the bot, but they're gonna try find you. So this is a really good bot because it's really annoying for the enemies to destroy. The alarm bot I would do is this one, which if you're playing Heaven, this alarm bot will detect when someone is actually trying to go Heaven by jumping on top of that box. So that's a really good alarm bot, so you know when you have to peek on the one who's pushing you. And then 2 grenades you should use is one behind here, and then one not on this side because it's easy to see and destroy, but like a little bit here. It's still easy to destroy, but when people are already here, it's too late because you activate it. And this is a really good one because everyone who's standing behind generator will die. There's no way to stand. You're always dead if you stand here. Now, B Site on Ascent is one of the best sites that Killjoy can be on in my opinion. So if you're playing Ascent, you can play A, but I'd recommend playing B because she can control lane really easily. So you start off by placing this turret when you walk from base to the site. This is a really great turret because it's really hard to shoot and it's always going to be annoying for the enemy. So even if you expect it, it's still really annoying to shoot. That's why you see it a lot in your games. Then you go here, place a molly in this corner. And then you place one right here on the ledge. And then you place an alarm somewhere in here, it doesn't really matter where, just somewhere between these two. As you can see, this is like almost a perfect setup because people who walk here won't be able to stand here because they'll still get hit by any of the 2 mollies, and since they're vulnerable because of the alarm bot, they're gonna take a lot of damage and mostly even die. So yeah, that's why she's the best agent on this map, I think. Now, just like in the Cypher video, I won't talk about stuff like market here because this is like not a site, and a sentinel's job is to be on a site and protect that site with everything she has or he has. So I won't be getting too deep in anything like this, or let's say Pearl on mid. I won't be getting into any of that stuff. So even though Bind is gone at the moment, it's gonna come back with a few changes in a few months. So I'm pretty sure though my setups won't get changed and won't get impacted by those changes, so I'm gonna do my setups anyways. So you start off with this turret. This is really good because it's hard to shoot because people actually have to come here and then shoot it, which will make them like exposed to the site. And it also looks at lamps, so you can see anyone going lamps, and it's also covering both blind spots, so it's just a really good turret for information and holding enemies back. Then for my setup with my mollies, just place a molly in the middle right here, and one in the middle of this room right here. As you can see, this is kind of in the middle. And then you place an alarm bot where it activates when they're almost entering, and immediately when you see it running, not even when it exploded, you just activate both mollies. And as you can see, there's nowhere to run, everything is covered, so it's like almost 100% surely they die. So for B Site Unbind, you might think you can do this turret again, but you can't because enemies who are coming via garden won't be seen, though the enemies walking here would be seen. But that's not really necessary since I'll show you a molly setup right after this. So another third placement you can do is right here. Again, it has a 180 radius, so even if I do it like this, it might not look like it, but enemies walking here will be seen and will be shot at. So that's a really great turret because it's again hard to shoot because enemies who are in window would obviously have a hard time shooting it, and enemies who are walking here are already exposed to sight, and then they still have to shoot that turret. Another good turret you can do is like in here in this corner or even on this house, but that's not really necessary. Also this one I wouldn't even do because it's really easy to shoot. Enemies camp here anyways, so yeah, it's kind of bad. So if I would do a turret, I do this one. And then for the setup, you start off by placing molly right here on this cross, like in the middle or like somewhere above it, because this will cover the entirety of this side. And then you go here to this cross and you place it right here, and you place your turret about when like so your second molly is just outside of the range of your alarm bot. This is a really great setup because as you can see, it will cover everything. Enemies, that's not even, you can't even stand here, so that's fine. Though the only thing I should say is when you place a molly on the ground, enemies can stand up here, so be careful because enemies who are smart can stand here. You can fix this by placing your molly on here, because this will hit them, as you can hear to my audio. But the one thing is they can camp in this corner down and they won't get hit by any of your mollies, so it's your choice really. You can also just like sit somewhere here and wall bang on this box or wall bang in the corner according to where you place your mollies. You can do anything really. So for B Site Unbind, you might think you can do this turret again, but you can't because enemies who are coming via garden won't be seen, though the enemies walking here would be seen. But that's not really necessary since I'll show you a molly setup right after this. So another third placement you can do is right here. Again, it has a 180 radius, so even if I do it like this, it might not look like it, but enemies walking here will be seen and will be shot at. So that's a really great turret because it's again hard to shoot because enemies who are in window would obviously have a hard time shooting it, and enemies who are walking here are already exposed to sight, and then they still have to shoot that turret. Another good turret you can do is like in here in this corner or even on this house, but that's not really necessary. Also this one I wouldn't even do because it's really easy to shoot. Enemies camp here anyways, so yeah, it's kind of bad. So if I would do a turret, I do this one. And then for the setup, you start off by placing molly right here on this cross, like in the middle or like somewhere above it, because this will cover the entirety of this side. And then you go here to this cross and you place it right here, and you place your turret about when like so your second molly is just outside of the range of your alarm bot. This is a really great setup because as you can see, it will cover everything. Enemies, that's not even, you can't even stand here, so that's fine. Though the only thing I should say is when you place a molly on the ground, enemies can stand up here, so be careful because enemies who are smart can stand here. You can fix this by placing your molly on here, because this will hit them, as you can hear to my audio. But the one thing is they can camp in this corner down and they won't get hit by any of your mollies, so it's your choice really. You can also just like sit somewhere here and wall bang on this box or wall bang in the corner according to where you place your mollies. You can do anything really. So for Breeze on A site, you should start off by placing your alarm bot right here, like somewhere here, so not too close to the door because then you'll just hear the alarm bot and pre-fire it. Then you go to the side, and this is a really good alarm turret. So you place your turret, again, it has 180 radius, so when you place your turret right like this, it can see anyone here, but it also covers the door. So that's really good. So you don't need an alarm bot to know when people are pushing door, because your turret would do it anyways. And again, it's really hard turret because when people are here, like you don't even see the turret yet, and then they're here and they're really exposed to like any angle really. So it's hard to shoot, and then you can help this setup by placing your nades on this ledge, because people, as you can see, like I even can't see it, people can only see it when they're already really close, and then they're probably gonna hurry because again the turret is shooting at them, they're exposed to the angles, so they're gonna try running here, try running backside. But then you just activate these mollies, and as you can see, like it's not even visible when you're standing here, but you'll still get hit, and enemies planting will also die. So for B side on breathe, you'll start off by placing your mollies. I'd like to place a molly on this stain right here, and then one on this black spot right here. Then you place an alarm bot somewhere where when they turn the corner, then it activates. And as you can see, when you activate these mollies, there's nowhere to hide. You can't stand in this corner, and you also can't stand in this corner. So it's really good because it's like this one is hard to shoot. This one they might shoot in time, but when they're rushing, no one's actually looking for those mollies. And again, I love my 180-degree turrets. So place a turret right here, which will cover mid, as you can see. It won't cover anyone standing like there, but it'll tell you when they're there. And there's also, again, it's like it shoots at the one planting, it shoots at the people coming here, but no one's actually going to look here when they're planting, because again, they're exposed to a lot of other angles. So I just love these kind of turrets, they're really good. So for A side on Fracture, I start off the round by placing a turret right here. It's like not an amazing turret, but it does the job because it's watching there and there, so when people cross, it calls it and you know people are actually there. So you can probably do a lot of other turrets, but I just stick to that one every round. Then there's also like a few good setups you can do right here with your molly and your alarm bot, but I prefer staying on site to like delay the plant or even kill the planter. You start by placing a molly right here, so it's hard to shoot through the enemies. And then you come here and place a molly on like this cross where it meets, the line just cross. And you can even place an alarm bot right here, but I don't think that's necessary. You can also just place your alarm bot somewhere here to know when they're jumping off or something like that. I do it every time, it gets activated a lot, it doesn't get killed a lot, so I guess it's a good one. And again, you can see there's nowhere to hide from this molly, so when you're actually entering via this side, the only thing you can do is run here and die, or run back when, I mean, you can do that, but not a lot of people will do that, because they'll just try to walk up these stairs, they'll get here as well, until they're standing here, and hopefully they're dead by then, and if they're not, you'd still do a lot of damage in the late plant, which is good as well. So for B side on Fracture, I'd like to start off by placing a turret right here and turning it with my right click. So this will show you when enemies are pushing arcade, and this will also, again, it has more than 80 degrees radius, it will see the enemies walking here. It's an easy turret to shoot, so if you don't like it, you can place another one. Like, you can even place it heaven or in this corner to be annoying, because the enemy will be like, oh, I have sight, I can plant, and then the turret's shooting it, and they have to cancel a plant, etc. So you can do any turret, really. Then, watch out, because with this molly, you can easily, like, fail it, because as you can see here, it's gonna fly away. So try to throw it a bit to the right here. There's a really great molly for if the enemies are planting, because a lot of people plant here, or even here. So, yeah. Oh, I accidentally activated that one. And you come with that with a molly right here. And this will cover like the entire corner. So, as you can see, I just prefer to delay the plants with these mollies on the side. Actually, I think Fracture is not really a good map, because you might have realized on A side that it's like, I wasn't really positive about it. That's because it is like that. Like, I don't really like Killjoy on this map, because there's not a lot of great mollies and setups and turrets you can do. So yeah, just try to delay the plants with these things, and then use your alarm bot heaven to know when people are pushing you. You can also place it right here, so they can't destroy it, because when they're going up the the rope, they'll immediately explode in their face. So that's it, but I wouldn't personally play Killjoy on this map. I've done it a few times, but I've stopped using it. I'll just play Cypher. If you want Cypher setups, by the way, be sure to take a look at my video. I'll put a link in the comments down below. or in the description. For a site on Haven, I like to place some mollies right here and right here against the boxer in the middle, doesn't really matter. So when they're pushing, they'll get hit by this alarm bot somewhere here, it doesn't really matter as well, it's like kind of flexible. And when it hits, you just, it depends if they're if they're rushing or not, because they can just walk back. But if they're actually pushing, you can activate these mollies and they like have to push back, so their rush is cancelled, your enemies rotate, or your allies I mean, and you've got a lot more control of your site. And the turret you place is right here again, just in the corners. It's really annoying because enemies are pushing and they're gonna try to like clear every angle, also this one by the way, so yeah, it's gonna get destroyed a lot of times, but it sees when the enemies are actually crossed over. So that's also like a thing you can use to know when you should activate your mollies. If the enemies, if the bot activates on somewhere right here, as someone right there, you just activate both mollies because his allies will probably be right behind him and get hit by the mollies, and he'd have to rush back, and that one enemy will be alone on site and probably die. So for B site, you start off by placing a turret right here on this box, or you can also place it right up there, it doesn't really matter, you can choose. And I'd like to start off by showing you a little lineup. So you walk into the middle of this like yellowish box, and you see that line, that like darker line. When you throw a molly against that wall, it'll land in this corner because a lot of people stand here and it will cover the entire thing. So when you hear people pushing and when you know they're scared because like you placed an alarm bot right here and a molly, this molly is just to scare off by the way. You place a molly like this and an alarm bot, they'll be like, oh no, I need to run away, and then you place a molly like this, they're stuck in the corner, and you can play on this side or on this side for the lineup. When you throw the molly in the beginning of the round, of course, people will see this and just shoot it, so only use the lineup, never do the molly without like throwing it in the middle of the round. So for C site, you start by placing an alarm bot somewhere here, so it covers the enemies immediately entering. And you combo this with a molly right here on this spot, so when people are pushing into garage, you can use this molly to stop them or delay them. You can use your turret right here, but I wouldn't do that personally. So you run right here and place a turret in this corner, which is really annoying because enemies always land right there or right there, and this turret will stop them. They have to cancel, blah blah. You know what happens. And you can also combo this with like a molly behind this box, or a molly on top of this box, or a molly behind this box. Doesn't really matter. You can use any of these mollies. Also, you can just not do that setup, place an alarm bot somewhere here so you know when they're pushing through this tunnel, I don't know what it's called. And then you have two mollies for the site, which you can cancel the plants with again. But this molly is kind of better because it takes a bigger area than those two, but they're all good. You can do anything really. So for this side, you can place a turret on here, but I don't think this one is good because as you can see like right here, it doesn't really see anyone maze, and also it doesn't really cover like here. So a lot of people put it right here, but this is again bad because enemies who are going maze will always check this corner and just shoot your turret, which will make it useless. So I prefer using a turret on rafters or like right here, so it covers the people who actually already crossed, because this is the important part. It doesn't matter if someone is standing right here. That's like, yeah, it's they don't have control when they're there. So this covers when they're pushing from there or when they're planting. And I combo this with a molly like against this wall, because they have to be right here already to shoot it, and again they'll be pushed back by players, of course. And you place a molly somewhere here, it doesn't really matter, just make sure the corner is also taken with that molly. And you place an alarm again when the first one I guess, is just outside of the range, so when they're pushing, this will activate, and then they're still already standing in that molly, so when they're walking back, they're vulnerable, take a lot of damage, and they can't run through because they'll just die. I'm not gonna lie, B site on Icebox is really bad for Killjoy. I actually don't really know any setups because I never play it. Though if I would do something, I place turret like right here so it covers the left and the right. And an alarm bot with it like just reach outside of the side range. By the way, this is the side range, this white line. You place a molly on this one and then somewhere here. and it kills when planting, but besides that I don't really know anything for this site, not gonna lie. So for this site, you start off the round by placing your turret in the corner right here. Make sure it's in the corner all the way, because otherwise they can see the turret from right here. It's not really great turret, but it does the job because it tells you when people are pushing here, and it tells you when people have actually already crossed. You can combo this with an alarm bot right here, which will make them vulnerable, which will make the turret even deal more damage. There's also a great alarm bot just to, of course, show when people have pushed outside of garden. I combo this with a molly right here on the corner of this rock, so when you hear people pushing, or of course just opening the door, be sure to open this molly so they can't push through the door and have to go back. Because when they try to run out of the door and actually cross here, they're just gonna die to the molly. So that's a really great thing, because then they have to open the door again and go again, and then your team is already here because they heard them rotating. And the last molly I would do is right here on top of the box, so it covers both plans and actually a bit of the middle, but that's just like kind of useless. So don't do it because of that spot. So for this site, you should start off by placing your turret right here. This is a great turret because people can shoot it from there, and it'll cover the entire site when people have pushed in or have even pushed in via here. Also, when I'm playing Killjoy, I'd like to play here, so I combo this with an alarm bot here so I know when they're pushing me and they're vulnerable, and even if I don't headshot, I just do 2 body shots and they're dead. You can combo this with using mollies like this through this waterfall to cancel the plan on default. But usually people plant here these days, so you just place a molly on there to cancel the entire plant and even kill the gecko wingman, because wingman plants a lot here lately. I've seen it being used a lot of times because people can throw wingman from right here. It's really easy, so that's why the molly is really good. So for C Site on Lotus, you start off by placing an alarm bot right here on this line. Then you go here and make sure your turret is covering like right about here, so it actually sees in there, because if you would do it via here and place it right there, it wouldn't cover that. So this turret sees when people have pushed waterfall, and also shows when people have pushed here, and if they didn't destroy it for some reason, they'll also get spotted right here, but usually the turret will be dead by then. And you combo this with a molly right here, and a molly somewhere here. Not on top of this ledge right there, because I'll just show you. When you combo these 2 mollies, it's because of the alarm bot activating. They can run here, and this molly is really kind of useless, so that's why you place a molly right there. So when it activates, as you can see, it covered the entirety of their runaway as well. So for Ascent and Pearl, I like to start off by placing an alarm bot right here to notify me when people are pushing out of art. I combo this with a turret right here, which sees main but also art, so when people have pushed out of art really far, they'll get hit by the turret combined with the vulnerability from the alarm bot. This will also just delay them, which is kind of useful. This I combo with a molly right here behind the corner, so it's not easy to shoot, which covers the entire default plan. I combo this with a molly in this corner as well, but only do this one when you're really sure that they're A, because this is kind of a useless molly. So you only do them when you like actually know they're already here, because you can play here as Killjoy to be an annoying little rat. So you can do this like when you're standing here and when you know they're there. Then you activate this one, of course, is for people standing there and even trying to cross you, because it's hard to see. Because they'll get hit even if they're standing here, but they won't see it because the animation's kinda in the ground. For this side, I would play Heaven, but I'll show you in a bit why. You start up the round by placing a turret right here, because this turret is really annoying, because they can't shoot it when they're like not on site, and it only does things when they're actually already on site, which is really annoying for them. You combo this with a molly right here to delay this plant, or even kill him if he's actually planting in that corner. And a molly right here to delay the one planting here. This is good because they'll have to run back towards like here, towards the open side, and again they'll have to run towards here, and that's why I tell you to play Heaven. Because you can really easily just peek, and everyone who ran away from that molly is gonna stand there or there, and you can easily shoot them. I combo this with an alarm bot in here just to know when there's someone CT, because CT is kind of an off angle, because if he's here he can push beneath you, he can push mid, and he'll just kill your teammates for not giving them enough information. So for this site, there's kind of a complicated setup, but it works a lot of times. So you start by placing a turret right there, And then you combo this with a molly right here on this spot and right here in the middle of this tile. You combo this with an alarm bot which is kind of far away from the stairs. You should make it so the alarm bot still covers when people have jumped over there. So like right here somewhere. And as you can see, when I activate these things, you can't stand right here because the turret's blocking. And you can't run farther away. So you have to run up, but you can easily like run back. So that's the only downside of this setup. They have to be all the way right here to actually die because of this setup. So be sure to not do it too late. So when it activates the alarm bot, even then, don't even do anything. Just after they have pushed through the alarm bot, then do it. Because otherwise you won't get any kills and probably not even get any damage. It's a really good setup, but if you're not really comfortable doing it, you can just place mollies, of course, on the plants to just delay the plants. This also works really well. So for B side, you can place a molly right here on this corner and a molly right here on this tile. You can combo this as an alarm bot, or you can just not do it. You can choose. You can also place an alarm bot on heaven. You can choose really. And then you place a turret right here. This turret is just really annoying because they have to actually push out of it to destroy it, which will expose them to heaven. So this setup is great because if you look at this, there's nowhere to stand, nowhere to run. You're dead 100%. So if you want to secure the 100% death, just use your alarm bot so it makes them vulnerable, which will make them die even sooner. But usually people just die here. Really great setup. So these were all my Killjoy setups. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you can consider liking or even subscribing. And be sure to comment down below if you want to see a KO, Gecko and Killjoy lineup video in the future.